Hi guys, so it's just gone 11 o'clock. I'm sorry I'm late. For those of you that know me, I am always late, but there you go. I've had huge problems all weekend. I've been trying to do Facebook Live in landscape mode so you can see everything that I'm doing on my desk, and it's showing on my computer as portrait. Really difficult. So I'm quite quite stressed about this now, actually. And I'm just trying to see if this is now coming up on my page. Hello, Linny. I'm very stressed, darling. Oh, thank God, it's coming up correct on my page. I'm very stressed. All weekend I've been trying to do this and it hasn't worked. Morning, Kit. Thank you for joining me. I am so stressed. There has been distress calls gone into the lovely Michelle Last this morning and the lovely Jenny McCormack. Thank you, girls, so much. Michelle, I hope you're feeling better because I know you're not very well. Yeah, so this has been really stressful. Morning, Tracy. I've practiced on my Crafty Birds page about 1 million times and they've all tuned in and I'm going, go away, but there you go. Right, so I'm going to, just a little bit about me. This is my first ever Facebook Live. Just breathe and remember there's a time delay. Okay, right, so this is my first ever Facebook Live and I'm just a little bit stressed about all of this, I'll be honest. And I've come up with a project. I'm really loving it. And but first of all, I want to talk to you about new catalogues. So for those of you that are my customers, new catalogues, I will be ordering the new catalogues tomorrow. If you're not a customer of mine and you would like the new Stampin' Up catalogue, please get in contact with me and I'll ship you a new catalogue. Morning, Paige. Lovely for you to join me, darling. Morning, Baz. Right, so I'm going to, but I haven't introduced myself, right? I'm Lisa Cornwall, otherwise known as Crunchy Crafts, because I'm naturally dark on the outside and my brain cells are very blonde and fluffy, as I have proved all weekend. So that's how Crunchy Crafts came about. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and this, as I said, is my first Facebook Live. Morning, Jean. Some of my lovely coffee and card girls are also finding me, which I'm really pleased about. Jean, I wish I could see your face. I know you can see mine, and I love doing our coffee and card coffee morning chats, which is really lovely when I can see everyone's faces. I don't know about the rest of you, but I am missing human contact an awful lot. I'm a hug person, so I'm missing giving everybody a hug. Normally, if I see Lynn Farhay or Daz or Baz, there's always a hug, and I'm really missing that hug, the human contact. But there you go. So anyway, that's enough about me waffling. Let's get on, and I'm going to try and flip the screen so you can see everything perfectly. I haven't got a fancy craft room, as you can see. I'm crafting in my lounge. This is where Barry, human contact. Yeah, some of it, Barry, I'm with you. I'm crafting in my lounge. This is where I craft. I've got a tiny desk. So, I live with 3 other people. Amy's boyfriend is staying with us. 3 dogs. I try and keep on top of everything, but it's kind of a bit. And so when I do my lives, please excuse what you can see behind me. Right, I'm going to flip the page down, the camera down. So you might want to close your eyes for this. You might feel a bit seasick, and then we're going to get going, and I'll show you what we're doing. Right, give me a minute. I am hoping that is okay. I'm now just waiting for my other screen. I want to go that way a bit. This is very difficult. Right, bear with me. Right, brilliant. As you can see in front of you, this is the cover of the lovely new Stampin' Up catalogue. Oh, I love it. Love it. Yeah. I don't really know what else to say about it, except I absolutely love it. I'd love to get a display piece of wood like this. I'm going to tag my brother, he's a wood turner, and see if he can do me a display board like this. I think it's beautiful. So have a good look. There are some new colours around in there. I can't say the names, can't tell you much more, but that is the new Stampin' Up catalogue. So I'm going to move that to one side, and we're going to get going. Right, so my lovely craft ladies at my Coffee and Card in Your Home Club are currently this month waiting for their Under My Umbrella stamp sets, which I've ordered, and their kits. And this is the stamp set we're going to be using. It has a lovely matching punch, which punches out all three of these bits in one go, which is really great if you need to do lots and lots of punching. I love this stamp set. I love the sentiments at the moment with everything that's going on. There's some absolute perfect sentiments. Rain or shine, you're always on my mind. No matter the weather, we're friends forever. You know, hello sunshine, just something to brighten somebody's day. And hashtag share sunshine is a huge hashtag within Stampin' Up at the moment. And that's a really great way. Sending a card is a great way to send a little bit of love and sunshine to someone's life. Anyway, let's get on with the card that we're going to be doing today. I'll move the punch out the way because we're not using that. So that's our stamp set. I'm going to move that out the way as well. So this is our card that we're doing. Now I'm using the retiring colours for my card bases. This one is Call Me Clover. And as you can see, I've used some of the retiring DSP, and I've stamped my little welly boots and the raindrops. Now, this card has been inspired by a lady called Laurie Skinner, who is otherwise known as the Crafter's Dream, and she is in Napa, in America. And I just loved this card. I loved the way the raindrops came down it, and the sentiment. And inside, I've decorated the inside. You could obviously do a bit more, but that's what I've done. So I'll pop this to one side and let's get going. So your card base is half a sheet of A4. So it is 10.5 centimetres wide by the length of your A4. And you are going to need to score it at 14.9 centimetres, which is 5 7/8. So your card stock, is 10.5. So you scored that at 5 7/8. So that's going to give you your card base. I've already pre-cut my bits, so it saves some time. Let me find the right bits for you. And so I'll bring in the next two bits. So you need a piece of Whisper White that is 4 inches by 4 inches, okay? And then a piece of Designer Series paper that is 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. I will write all of that in a comment below so you can see what this is, okay? So that's 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. Now those bits can just be stuck straight down. This is do you know, I've had a complete blank on this colour. I know if Ali Palmer's watching, she's going to be hating it because it's peach, and I can't remember the colour. Could somebody remind me? The fibro brain is definitely playing. Hang on. It is, oh, of course, Grapefruit Grove. I had pink grapefruit for breakfast, actually, this morning. So this is a little bit of Grapefruit Grove DSP that I had lying around. I'm just going to pop that down as well. Just like that. For anybody that knows me really well, I have a stigma in my eye, and not everything goes straight, actually, but there you go. So that's that, pop down to one side. Now, to make this, the next bit we're going to need is a 3 7/8 by 3 7/8 piece of cardstock. Now, this piece of cardstock makes these for Wellington Boots, but as you can see, the rain is coming from one side, and I needed to make it all match. So there's a way to do this. Your cardstock, as I said, is 3.5 by 3.5. Okay, you're going to take your Wellington boots, and I've got a top tip, even not a tick, a tip here. On my grid paper, I have marked the 2 corners of where my cardstock is, so I can keep it square, but also it's the centre of my grid paper. And this grid paper is available from your Stampin' Up demonstrator. You can order it, or you can ask me and I can order it for you. Black ink on my finger now. So you can see that I know where my squares are. So I'm just going to ink my stamp. And because this is the Memento black ink, it's a harder base. So it's quite a good idea to smush it round to get really well inked. So I'm just going to pop this down, and I'm going to sit in the middle of each of those squares like that. So you can see that my boots, Wellington boots, are fairly evenly positioned. Now the next bit we need to do is colour those. So I am going to be using my blends. I love Stampin' Blends, but you could use watercolour pencils, you could use the Stampin' Right markers, whatever colours you've got at home you could use. So my colours for my Wellington boots today, I'll show you again, are Mango Melody, so I've got light and dark. They are Poppy Parade, so I've got light and dark. I've also used Bermuda Bay, light and dark. No, I haven't. Yes, I have. Bermuda Bay, light and dark. And my other favourite, Granny Apple Green, light and dark. I've also used the light Smoky Slate, and I've used my blender. If I bring those down, you can see all of those. So those are what I've used, okay? Now, you don't want to sit and watch me colour all of these. I'll show you how I did the light and dark. So on the dark bits, where I knew there would be shadow on my boots, I have taken my dark and I've placed that down like that. Added a little bit of shadow there, and then some down the heel, down the back of the welly boot, because that's kind of where the shadow would be. I've then used the brush end and I've coloured completely all the way over, which will make each of those welly boots, as you can see, each of those welly boots, it makes it blend in. So you don't want to see me colour all 4. So as if by magic, there you go. And the Smoky Slate I have used because I've added some shading underneath my welly boots. Now we need to get these raindrops coming down all the way across, okay? So I'll show you how to do that. So you need some Post-it notes. Depending on the size of your Post-it notes, you might need 2. So what you do is you stamp your Wellington boots onto your Post-it notes. And then I'm really sorry to say, I need to trim that, you need to fussy cut all your Wellington boots, and you will need 4 of these. So then you just pop them over your welly boots like this. So your Wellington boots are covered. Okay. And then we're going to do our stamping. So I've got my little raindrops and I have got my Balmy Blue ink pad. Okay. Now, as you can see in my card, the rain is coming from the top right going down towards the bottom left. So making sure your raindrops are the right way up, as you can see. Don't know, how much you can, let's do that, you might be able to see them better. They're a teardrop, so they're narrow at the top and wider at the bottom, and they also interlock beautifully because of the way the stamp is shaped. So now I've got my lovely Wellington boots all covered. I can just ink my stamp. I'm going to start at the top, and I can just work my raindrops in a diagonal. Whoops. Across my card like that, and then let's close my ink pad. If I take my welly boots off, they're not all over my lovely Wellingtons, which I think is really cool. So the next thing we need to do is to cut these down to the right size so they can go onto their card. You could, if you wanted to, just put this straight onto your cardstock, but that's not what I want to do. So this is 3.5 by 3.5, which means that each little piece is going to be 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. Get rid of that one. So 1 3/4 that way. Pop them together. 1 3/4 that way. There we go. Now you need to put these on your card correctly, otherwise the jigsaw doesn't work. So those are my top bits and those are my bottom bits, okay? If you wanted to make sure you knew which bits were which before you cut them, if you left your post-it notes on your thing and you, let's find a pencil, and you wrote top left, top right, bottom left and bottom right before you cut them, then you wouldn't have to struggle to get your jigsaw right, okay? So there is a little tip for you. Right, let's get rid of those again. Right, so they're ready to go. So let's just pop these onto our card. So there's my card base. I know exactly which bit is which. Right, I'm using Tombow. That's my glue of choice. Now, I had to play around with this quite a lot to get these to stick. Not to get them to stick correctly. So, and it's kind of an eyeball job. So that's the first one. And I'm going to get the second one to the left of it on. There we go. I haven't pressed either down too much because I kind of wanted to make sure they were a bit even. Right, there we go. So I'm going to put the bottom right. Once you've got two on, it's quite easy, she says, to get the last few on. Glad you can't see my face. My tongue is currently out because I'm concentrating. Right, so that is pretty much as straight as I'm ever going to get anything. So I'm quite pleased with that, actually. So we've got our welly boots, we've got our shading, we've got everything. Now we're missing the flower. So we need to stamp a little flower. Hang on. Let's grab some scrap. So we've got our flower. Now there are 4 gorgeous little bunches of flowers in the Under My Umbrella stamp set. I've used them for all sorts. They make great borders. Really, really lovely. So I'm going to be using this one today because I really like the size of it. So let's pop this back to one side again. Ink up my stamp and I'm just going to stamp it out. Okay. And again, we're going to be colouring. So I'll show you very briefly how I did some of the colouring. So on the little one, I added my darkest shading to the bottom because that's where I knew it would be. Whoops. And then straight over the top, with the darker one. Again, the same with the Mango Melody. I did the darkest in the centre because I knew my centre was going to be dark. Did some that side, and I also had that there.
Morning.
Morning, Tom. My son's just come in to say good morning. And then I'm just going to colour the rest of this in and over my shading. And I've done the same for the Bermuda Bay. A little bit of dark down this side. And then coloured it in. So you can see that that's what I've done. And all I've done with my leaves is just very quickly use the lighter Granny Apple Green to give my leaves some colour. There you go. So that's all I've done. Now, unfortunately, we have to fussy cut that. Now, a top tip for cutting your leaves, let's put my cards to one side. It's really easy to cut this side out. But my top tip is to do the leaves first and to do this bit afterward. Now, this is how I do my leaves. I go in from the edge of my card, turning the paper down to there. Then I stop. Then again, I go in from the edge. Whoops, hang on, too far. In from the edge and down and stop. Okay? Then in from the edge and down and stop, which gives you that perfect shape. Not quite got that bit yet. There you go. So then again, in from the edge and down. Then in from the edge. In from the edge and down. Right, now when I've done that one, I can go back to that one and then I can come up. And it's much easier to cut that little bit out. Okay. So we've done in from the edge there. So we're going in from the edge down here. That bit will just fall out. In from the edge. Oops. In from the edge. And I kept doing that all the way round. Did all my leaves first. Let's just get rid of that bit. And then did this bit. And you will end up with this. Okay, so I'll pop that bit back to one side. So I'm going to use, do you know, I had everything on my desk ready. There it is. Going to use a dimensional. And I'm going to pop my dimensional on the back of my little flower. The only good thing about having COVID-19 nails and not my normal glamorous ones is the fact that I can pick the back of the dimensionals off myself without having to use a pokey tool. That is the only thing. So I do apologise about the state of my nails because they're not my normal really pretty nails. I'm then going to just pop my flower down on the corner of my boots. Now the next step, let me find my little piece of card, is we want to put our sentiment on the bottom. Now, my piece of card is 4 inches by 3/4 of an inch. And we're going to stamp, oops, the glue's just fallen over, that's better. This gorgeous sentiment that says, no matter the weather, we're friends forever, which I think is really important at the moment. Right, so I've lined my stamp up. I'll show you how I line my stamps up with another one in a minute. But I've lined it up so I know it's straight on the block. So I can look straight through and stamp it down. Okay. Right, let's just grab a sentiment out, see if I can find one. The Rain or Shine one will be really good. This is the inside of my stamp box. I tend to create different bits and pieces. I've got lots of post-it notes. Right, this is another top tip. If you punch out your punch, so you punch it out like that, okay, onto a piece of card. If you want to punch all those bits at one time, if you line your stamps up, lay it down that way, put your stamps on a block, that way you will be able to stamp them all and punch them in one go. Right, let's just find this one and a block. And I tend to keep all my little bits like that, my masks and everything, in my box so I know where they are. Right, so lining this stamp up, it's got a straight edge. So using my grid paper, I line my stamp up in my grid paper so I know that's straight. This is a very large block. Let's just use the Wellington boot block. So I then can line up, looking through my block, the top of the block on a straight line and pick that up, which means I know that this is a straight line and this is a straight line. Okay, so I'll pop that down and I'll show you that it works. Let's just grab the ink pad, ink my stamp up, and I'm going to work on the top of this so I can line my block up on the top of that, and I know that that is going to be straight along that edge. Okay, right, back to the one we're doing. So there's our little stamp. So I want to add on this one, I've added some mint macaron ribbon, and I thought on this one I would use some of the lovely petal pink with copper edges on this one. So I've got my glue dots and my poker tool, and I'm just going to pop a glue dot on the back, and I'm going to wrap from here around the front and around the back and stick it down. Oops, and trim it off. Okay, so that's now stuck. Okay, and I'm going to make a bow on camera. Oh my goodness me. Right, bunny ears bow. Over your fingers like that, pinch it together, pop it under. No, right, let's try again, shall we? Oh, the magic of live broadcasting. There we go. There's my bow. Just going to trim the tails. See, if I'd been Rhonda Wade, she'd have had one of those magically ready-made in her magic box. Right, again, pop a glue dot on the front. And I'm going to pop my bow onto there, just like that. So I'm going to pop another one there. Just going to pop it under there so that it keeps it safe. Right, so then a couple of dimensionals. More than a couple, actually. You don't really need this many Stampin' Up dimensionals, but I don't like the inside bits to sag. Right. Pop that on my card. Trim that little bit down. There we go. So that's the front of it, with one little exception. These are the champagne rhinestones, and I want one in the centre of my little flower, and then I want one here and a small one, and then I just want a small one just down there. Okay, so that's that. That's the front of your card finished. Now we need to do the inside. So for the inside, and I'm going to step this one up, I've just got a piece of Whisper White that is 3 7/8 by 5 5/8. And I have a very unstraight edge. So let's just redo this. So this piece of DSP is 3 7/8 wide. And I want a piece that is 3/4 of an inch. Okay, pop that down. That's better, much better. The last bit I could see wasn't straight. Much better everywhere. So there you go, that's down. Right, I'm going to take my welly boot again. Let's get rid of that stamp. Take my welly boot. Grab my ink pad. My desk always ends up like this. I hope yours does too. And I won't feel quite so bad. I could start with a really, really big desk. And all that will happen is it will get smaller and smaller and smaller, the space I'm working in. I'm just going to stamp my little welly boot there. Pop those out the way. Move this to one side. Right, let's grab, I think we'll use, let's use Mango Melody. I really like that. Right, just grab the dark. Down the edge. Heel bit's always got a bit of shading. Grab the brush. Really, if you're using the brush ends, not pressing very hard because you don't want to destroy your brush ends. I have had that happen to a few of mine in class, and it is really, really, really upsetting. Right, so that's now ready to go into my card. That's going ready into my card. Into the centre. There you go. There's your card. So there's the one I've done today in Grapefruit Grove, and there is the Call Me Clover one. I haven't been able to, hadn't noticed your nails, to be honest, until now. Oh, thank you, Barry. That's so sweet. Right, let's have a little scroll on my comments. It's really nerve-wracking doing this. I kind of didn't realise how nerve-wracking, but there you go. I have, to be honest, just sat and imagined the fact that all of my ladies that I normally craft with are sat in front of me. So I've imagined all of your faces. So those are my 2 cards for today. We're going to be doing another masking technique with the Under My Umbrella stamp set on Thursday at 11 AM. So I look forward to seeing you then. See you soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.